In this video, we're going to be looking at the retro mechanical keyboard from 7Keys. This keyboard is marketed as a wireless/wired Bluetooth keyboard that has the feel and sound of a mechanical typewriter. The board comes with the backlight, a phone or tablet stand, is compatible with Mac, Windows, iOS, and Android, and is connected through either Bluetooth or a USB-C cable, which a USB-C cable is included in the packaging. The keyboard also has a built-in volume knob to adjust the system main volume, as well as a lever for changing the light settings and a knob for adjusting how bright the lights are. At this point, I have been using this keyboard for a little over a week, and it's been the only keyboard that I've been using within this time, so I think that it is a very good time for me to go ahead and give a full review of the product. Previously, I've always gotten the same type of keyboard. They've always been cheap. If I can get one with a white backlight, that's great. It always has a numpad, and it's always been wired. Basically, it was whatever keyboard I had laying around. Typically, it was one of my old, membrane keyboards that I acquired over my many years of hoarding technology. But this time, for whatever reason, I thought, hey, that keyboard looks nice. Maybe just once I'll spend more than 10 bucks on something. I purchased this keyboard on Amazon for around $80. It was a little bit more than 80 bucks. It's like 85, I think, which is far more than I have ever paid for a keyboard in my life. First, I will say that the packaging was acceptable. Not overly done like the repaper, but it was solid enough. And the keyboard didn't get damaged in packaging or shipping, which is great. It certainly looks like what it costs, so I would give it a solid 9 out of 10 for the packaging. Design-wise, the keyboard looks good. I always say that if you make a product, you need to make it memorable and engaging. This is most certainly memorable, but not all in a good way. The lights options are changeable through the shortcut key combos or by pulling the lever. However, on the promo video, the lights are RGB, and on my device, they're all white, which is fine for me. The keys sound just like a typewriter. Yeah, I mean, it sounds just like a typewriter, although it is a little bit loud. The buttons are also high-rise, which is both good and bad. Good because it types and feels like a typewriter, which is exactly what the company wanted to make. But if you've never typed on a typewriter, you will not enjoy this feature. If you are going to type on this keyboard for a long time, you will notice your fingers starting to get fatigued. While it sounds like a typewriter, it really sounds like a typewriter. It's loud, like the loudest keyboard I have ever had.
Man, that thing is loud! What?
If your plan is to use this around other people, like in a shared office or a shared room, you might want to rethink your plan.
In your face, machines!
What kind of prank are you thinking?
When you type on this, you can hear it, and everyone around you can hear it. This keyboard works and functions like a keyboard you would expect, even if it is a little bit annoying in some areas, and I can honestly say it's not an enjoyable experience to have to get used to a keyboard layout. All keyboard layouts should be the same, and this one, it's not quite there. The options you have for connectivity range from wireless via Bluetooth or corded with a USB-C to USB cord. You can cycle through the key configurations for Windows, Mac, and Android and Linux. However, I can only vouch for the connectivity with Windows 11 and an iPad running 12.5 iOS. The keyboard did not come with a USB Bluetooth adapter, something that for $80 I really think they should have, because mice that only cost 10 bucks come with one. Why would this keyboard not come with one as an option? The only snag that I ran into when setting up the keyboard was cycling through the devices to make it corded. This isn't really explained very well in the user manual, so I kind of had to figure this out on my own. And the first step to this is making sure that your keyboard has a charge. Unplug the cord, turn the keyboard off, turn it back on. Then you hit FR to cycle through to the USB-C cord. Then you plug in the USB-C cord into the device, and then you push FNR again to reattach the keyboard via wired. Luckily, you only have to do this once. I've unplugged the keyboard, plugged it back in multiple times. You still have to hit FN and R to reconnect if you are going wireless back to corded. It will remember the last thing that it was set to.
No, wait, go back! Why are there 6 pedals if there are only 4 directions?
But the fact that this was not covered in the manual anywhere that I saw, it's not very intuitive. Something that I wanted to add that I couldn't find a place for in the script is the feet on the keyboard, the kickstands on the bottom. Most keyboards come with it, and this one does as well. The feet on the back of here. I read reviews online saying that these feet were not in their model. Well, my model has the feet on the keyboard, and I must say, if you did not have these feet, this keyboard would be pretty much unusable, because there's no variation in height for the keys. As you can see, it makes it very difficult to type. Now, with it propped up, it makes it a lot easier, and it's actually functional. Without those feet on there, it would be not fun to use. There is something that this keyboard has added as a nod to classic typewriters that I believe is incorporated quite well. Where the paper feed would typically be on a typewriter, there is a stand for an iPad, tablet, or phone. It holds those devices perfectly if they are not in a case. Overall, even though I find that this keyboard does not stand up in some areas, it is a good keyboard. Not great, but good and acceptable. I do not think it should be $80, possibly more like $30 to $40, simply because I have had $10 keyboards that do more and were nicer and didn't make me have to justify purchasing them. That being said, I have been informed that mechanical keyboards do cost around $100, so getting this one for $80 is actually not a bad price. For the purpose of this review, I am going to assume that my friend who told me that a $100 mechanical keyboard is a decent price, I'm going to assume that that's correct, because I personally have never purchased a mechanical keyboard. If this keyboard was $35, I would have scored it much higher, and in fact, I probably would have kept this keyboard as a daily driver and be perfectly 100% satisfied with this device. But once I start tipping over the $50 that I'm spending on a device, it better be just as good as the previous one that I had, if not better. My expectations start to raise when my cost starts to go up. And the fact that I'm comparing a device to something that costs 8 times less, that's not a good sign. All that aside, does look cool, it does sound cool, if not just a little bit loud. Overall, it's a really neat keyboard, and it's definitely a showpiece. Does it justify the price? Well, I've only used it for a week or so, maybe 2 weeks most. I'll just have to see. Keep using it and see if I can justify the price for myself. Thank you all. Hope you enjoyed this video. Subscribe, and I'll be back with another tech review later on.